ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Logitech G, Pay Safeguard, TheScoreEsports.com, G2A, NVIDIA, and ESEA.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the CS extravaganza that is the ESL Pro League. It's the weekend, Saturday, 6 games today and 6 games tomorrow. We're into our 5th game now, or our kind of 3rd set of games almost, depending on how you want to think about it. I'm Alex Machine Richardson, got this Norwegian to my left, otherwise known as Halvor Vendetta Gullistol.
Something about the ending there.
I keep trying and keep failing. You keep
getting further away.
Yeah, you can say mine really well. I feel like I need to be able to say yours.
Alex Richardson.
Listen to him. Smashed it every time. It's incredible how he does it.
Smashing.
But you ruined it there. How you really did. You went over British. I mean, I'm incredibly British, but smashing. Smashing. Well,
it had to be done, right?
SK and NiP, back to CS. We've got ourselves Cash and Mirage, the 2 maps that are about to go down. We've seen a lot of Cash and a lot of Overpass recently, so looking forward to seeing how these 2 teams clash upon Cash.
Yeah, no, Cash has been probably the best map for SK as of late. When we see them manage to double face in that long overtime game. Did pretty okay for versus G2 as well, at least for one half.
Oh, don't remind me, dude. That should have been theirs, right?
Well, yeah. Well, you can also go. Let's put it this way. I think G2 played a better T side in terms of showing variety, because SK found a hole in the defense of G2 and pretty much just abused the living hell out of it, which is definitely something you should do, absolutely. So, nothing against SK in that regard. But, it's been a pretty decent map for them. I don't think they're going to be able to beat NiP, though.
You think that they're just looking a little too good? I mean, they picked up a win against Fnatic recently. I can't see past that personally. I think that's a real good statement about new NiP, and I think new NiP is a real safe set of words. I mean, under the new management of Threat, we've seen a lot of changes, right? Yeah. Recently, with the way NiP structure, they seem a lot more slow. In fact, a lot of teams, especially on their T side, as an observation you were saying off air. Yeah. You were saying that with the addition of coaches or whatever it is, the way the meta is shifting, it seems like a lot of teams are slowing down on their T sides. Are NiP part and parcel of that?
I mean, NiP are definitely one of the teams who are taking it, taking their time, and I think it's more of more to the point of teams taking a more tactical approach to their rounds instead of just simply
choose a letter and run.
Yeah, right. There's a bit more afterthought to it than just that, and I think that's a good thing. And you could definitely tell that it's working for NiP as well. Sure, it's an online game, but beating Fnatic, as we kind of alluded to in the past segment, they haven't really shown too much of a weakness, even if it's online games. So that's a pretty big step in the right direction if you're NiP. And I don't see it stopping. I've always enjoyed watching Threat's teams play, especially on Cash back in the day with this old Acer team. Just a really well thought out game plan for that map, and I expect that to be just basically beaten into the heads of the 5 NiP players.
Yeah, so, okay, let's go ahead, right, and look at the 2 times. These teams have both played Cash recently, right? Yeah. SK's, you've alluded to already, was that G2 game where they went 12-3 up and then proceeded to lose. Agonizing for the guys from SK. And then you look at NiP, who recently picked up the win against Fnatic on Cash. Like, I mean, they say, like, stats don't mean everything, and this little triangle doesn't always work out. Like, if they beat X on what map, then surely it should translate.
Property, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know how maths works. I'm almost certain I'm the worst mathematician in the entire building at ESL when every member and employee is here.
I might duel you for that.
Oh, you bad as well?
Oh, I'm horrible.
I try and do on-air maths sometimes and do like very simple addition and subtraction.
Off that. I've learned my limits.
Okay. See, I don't. I get cocky. I'm like, I can do 2 times 6. Okay, I carry the 1, 12. No, but anyway, maths aside, it does feel like it's definitely leaning in the way of NiP. And both of these maps, more so towards Cash. The second map could be a little bit of a breath of fresh air. I don't want to refresh my memory. Yeah, okay, so it's going to be Mirage, our second one.
And I mean, to be fair, that's a map we've seen SK play quite a few times as well in Pro League, but it hasn't gone too well. Yeah. So Cash has kind of been their staple, the one thing they had to cling on to get their wins, and Mirage has been that second map that has beaten them profusely down again. Last time we saw NiP play Mirage, it was at Katowice, beat Luminosity. Again, pretty impressive past result. Yeah, NiP just in general look like a better team than what they've done for the past year. And that's something you have to take into account, because the players themselves, it's pretty much the same 5 individuals, right? Minus Alu plus Pith, but in the grand scheme of things, it's still brilliant individual players on that side. And if they actually play together as a team and have strategies behind that and an actual game plan, it's an extremely scary team to play against.
Yeah, and of course, many other points we made about kind of NiP's approach to Cash was surrounding their CT side. We were actually hoping to see Forest with his AWP a lot more than we actually saw against Fnatic.
Yeah,
maybe
that too well with the rifles, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they did incredibly well. I think that kind of combo of Forest Freiburg on B on CT, very much an exciting premise. And actually, we're going to get to see it right now. So, Cash is on the cards. I haven't been poking you for predictions too much, but you've already suggested this is going to be going the way of NiP. Easy stuff for us on the desk then, and now it's over to the hard and grueling task of bringing you the action. And your casting pair for this one is going to be an Aussie and a British bird. Take it away, you two.
Smashing. Just smashing.
Yes, well, of course, it's going to be Cash. We've seen more Cash tonight than what's flowing to JW's pockets after his sponsorship
Cash
tweets
money gang
earlier on.
over there. Yeah.
That guy is absolutely killing it. But, of course, now on to the topic at hand. NiP versus SK Gaming. I mean, do you have anything to add, really, to the thoughts we heard earlier on? I thought Halva put it pretty succinctly.
Yeah, I think Halva summarized it really well. So for me, it's looking at, okay, what now do NiP do differently? Is there any new additions to how they're playing this? Because last time we actually saw Pip picking up the AWP more towards mid. That was a very enjoyable factor, actually, rather than Forest, who had an outstanding performance prior to that over on B, as said, on the desk with Freiburg on their CT side. So maybe another factor coming through, but it was GetRight who had a massive game, actually, when we were watching them. So hoping to see a little bit of that, as, yeah, it's going to be a very interesting sort of matchup between these two. SK have had a really tough time of it recently. I'm looking forward to them on Mirage. They have a very pre-planned style, and I'm wondering if maybe NiP have watched over some of those demos and got something in mind as to how to play them, because it's very much rinse and repeat. But going to this one, it'll be NiP on the T side, and I think we're going to see the Tech9 GetRight maybe coming out here, and SK on the CT side.
Before tonight started, SK Gaming, they're 4-10. There were 3 teams below them with 3 wins. So this is not a stable spot for them to be in. They need to really close out some games. And NiP going to be a big task for them at that. So I have to see now as well. No, huge investments. I mean, GetRight does have the old Tech9 there. Freiburg has himself the smoke.
So let's see what they construct with this, because actually GetRight with that Tech9 does normally play a massive role in these rounds. And I'm wondering if SK are going to be aware of this coming their way. I don't think we've heard any shots from it so far, but it looks like maybe a bit of a tendency towards B here. Going to have the smoke towards the entrance to deny them being able to see the information, allow the T side to get to checkers if required. It forces the CTs to play towards the site a little more. And GetRight going to start inching through, get himself towards checkers, peeking around, checking the box, no one there. That's a very meticulous take so far from NiP, giving away very little as well.
Covering all their bases.
Counter boost towards mid? Yep.
GetRight gets up towards mid now as well. And to be fair, for all this checking of corners, they haven't found any SK Gaming players yet as well. So NiP are just eliminating possibilities now, giving them more confidence coming forward now towards this site. The bomb having been left in B halls, not really being moved forward. There's Pit though. Modi goes for the peek up on the site. So yes, information gained now for NiP, but at a cost of one of their members. And Modi now even coming forward, looking for a little bit more to freeze. Sees a little bit of action towards mid now, and SK Gaming starting to build up a picture of exactly what NiP are up to, but it might not be enough to stop them as Freeze is forced back in the direction of B, and that bomb is slowly snaking in the direction of A. GetRight as well, but going to be coming in from Highway, but Magisk opens up really, really nicely with the USP, and even Pim gets involved. This is a stunning hold for SK, and after all the work that NiP did, they dotted their I's, they crossed their T's, and yet they get very, very little for it.
But it's the problem with limited utility, I guess, on the T side, that you're always going to be struggling to define the sites and get in. Especially with those USPSs, they're going to sit super far back, right? So Pimp just in by truck, Magic sitting by quad, just sitting there very patiently waiting. So for NiP, I almost wanted them to go a little bit quicker. You know, once they got control of checkers, maybe just bomb it through towards site or something. You know, try and push what control they had. But now, you know, going to be forced into what is a bit of a shoddy buy. And Freeze, is he going walkabouts? No, he's going to be holding the push. Listen in, see if he can hear anyone stepping around. But Pit, this is a position I expect Pit in quite substantially throughout this game, is working through Squeaky on this T side. He'll be here quite a lot of the time. Let's get right over by B, just holding that push out, see if anyone tries to play for information. But SK just being more present in mid. And there might be a late boost possibly, but NiP need to be careful here because they have absolutely no information as to where players are.
We saw GetRight approaching on B halls there. You can see through the wall what the setup is looking like for SK Gaming right now. It's not rocket science. It's just Acelian and Modi sat up on B. And we'll be awaiting this one. Is Freeze and Pimp committing to mid in this sort of fashion? Will he be a little bit weaker? But again, Modi does have that M4. He's just going to be waiting for the push in now. And again, just a flash on Forrest. He's got right to work with here. A little early peek there. Shaves a little bit of health off of Modi. But this may draw some plays in the direction of B. Pimp is gravitating through spawn as well, ready to come and reinforce. Here comes the push as well. Flash is not really affecting Modi at all, but he still goes down. Acelian trying to get the spray with the P90, but still he's trying to fire at long range. And NiP cleanly get on towards his side. And now Pimp has to step up. Literally, unfortunately, does eventually get Freiburg as we can change away. It's Freeze now in towards B main. The bomb being down is an important factor here. Can try to look for an entrance.
Straight up contact play from NiP that round, just going straight in. One flash to set it up. The Pimp going to go and try and edge in, but he had Magic right behind him, and a very good round from NiP with limited amounts. They recover all 3 rifles as well. Fantastic stuff for NiP here. Get right, exist, and Forrest with that. And again, I've got to credit where it's due. That was a very well-paced round from NiP, and piece by piece, they got the job done. The first shot towards, I think that was Modi who had the actual rifle on B,
yep.
And it was Acelian who had the P90. So the first shot towards him from Get Right was massive to be able to create an opportunity towards that side. But now, Pistols on the other side, so I guess on the other foot almost you could say at this point. And it's a lot harder, I feel, for the CTs to make much of this one. So Pitt and Freiburg probably the ones to go first here, if anything, as they are the ones with the SMGs.
Last round was a limited utility contact push. And NiP still managed to make it work. So much scarier now when they do have a little bit of utility behind them, namely 5 Molotovs here as well. So I hope that Freeze and Magic are going to be ready to move very, very quickly. As Pimp as well is just keeping a watchful eye over mid every now and then, just peeking up. And NiP are playing this methodically. Almost makes me feel like Na'Vi in some ways. So they're taking this one nice and slow.
Well, you kind of have to, I guess, against Pistols, because there's always a chance there could be that boost coming out. Or, you can see Gerard just maybe considering them for a second. But it's always a little bit hesitant and a little bit cautious. And it's fine to do when you have mollies, because you can clear out corners so much quicker. Not have to spend all the time checking them. So in theory, there should be a bit of a threat initially on Magic, but now there should be a molly coming out towards him, keeping out of that comfortable position. There's the duo, 1 to MBK corner, 1 towards quad. Now they should know that Magic has to look at this molly play. This is beautiful. This is like old NiP style, where you completely molly out all the positions and then make the play, but Magic still has a little bit of room to work, and he does the best he can. Pit does get picked up, but now NiP have that foothold in the site, and Get Right just holds down Mouse 1, gets the spray. Stunning shot from Modi, but the bomb is planted and it's a 3v2.
Forrest will fall there at quad, and a second player stepping up there as well. It was Get Right in position. Yeah, 5 Molotovs always makes you think that it's going to be tough to stay put on that A site. And Acelian at least was able to get away, but at long range with a CZ, not a snowball's chance in hell. He's going to back his way in the B direction, and Modi as well is just going to take 5 as he's down to 4 points of health and wants to hang on to that one here as well. So NiP play it slow. Seems like SK Gaming don't necessarily mind playing into this sort of slower style as well. They don't give up too much for free as well. Like a lot of teams will make some aggressive CT plays, which you earlier said tonight that you don't mind seeing. You kind of like that, but SK never give anything away for free here, and NiP are going to be forced to fight for it. Again, 5 Molotovs gives in that site, but you can see on the screen they are quite low.
Yeah, and it's a big investment to do that, but this was like I guess not a strat they used, but this back with Alu. NiP's A take on Cash was super well known, and it was actually very proficient at the time with the molly to every single corner. It can be hindered and halted by early A aggression, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see maybe someone trying to get into A main in case they're worried about that again, but at the moment maybe just not a priority for SK, as they do only have Modi and Acelian with armor and upgraded pistol really into this, and just a P250 or 2 for Pimp and Free. So again, NiP going default for this one, Exist watching the A main push, Get Right over towards B, Pit slowly working towards door, and they work it off feel, off information, what can they do here? But it is Forrest who's got some really lovely wallbangs as well from T-side mid, I guess you could call it, in that little room. He can just like hit every single angle there. He's worked every single one out. I love watching that from him. But again, not particularly needed and probably very unlikely as the opposition SK only have pistols. So again, just can run down the clock, and I want to see how well they clear this B side, as that looks like where they're posturing towards.
Yeah, more than just posturing now. I think they're pretty well committed. Pimp's going to be up in the vent, so he can drop, but he want to be careful about that one. Already 2 Molotovs flying across the screen here as well, and you can see that NiP are trying to pave their way through. Pimp can't go down into checkers until they've expired. We have very simple smoke in towards Hell as well. And look at Exist, he's going to be checking this one as well. Perfect timing. We'll catch out Pimp, but two of his teammates have fallen. Is SK starting to hold on towards this site? But there's Freiburg. Exist now getting involved yet again. You've got the Tech 9 out as well as Freeze makes that push. And I don't mind that, actually. We've seen this sometimes as T-side players come in and they just almost anticipate an aggressive push out of Hell, especially knowing that SK were on those pistols. They'd forced up a little bit, didn't have a lot to work with. Sit back and expect the player to come across towards headshot.
And this is the NiP that people are starting to take notice of, this slower, more well-calculated NiP. This is the threat influence people talk of, is the fact that they change their kind of way they play out these rounds. There is no wasting rounds
Huge
anymore.
influence for a coach to have, by the way,
Yeah.
when he comes into a team
Absolutely. To get the respect, this was always the problem with people coaching NiP is, could someone, for example, like Natu, who I think is a great, oh, look at that counter boost, that's good. I'll come back to my point in a second, because that's given them such a great deal of information. Get Right plays that by almost default at this point. So you get a smoke towards mid, 2 smoke speeds precise, 1 molly towards vents. They're going to try and isolate if anyone pushed close. There is no one so far. So you can see the close flashes coming through and such. It actually failed, I think, from Freiburg there. And they could try and fake out a B split here because that bomb's still on Forest, but it does give them a step towards mid control. They're going to molly down towards sandbags, flash towards highway, but nothing really coming from this because really SK are just playing from the sides now.
Again, SK are not getting put in a position to get caught out. You know, normally that double smoke in mid will, again, isolate a player that may have pushed forward, nothing doing. Flash towards highway, doesn't really set anything up at all for NiP, and it's only Forest now really the utility caddy as he's trying to work on towards A. Freeze will be there for the peak, so I'll be interested to see how Pitt goes about this one. Be a flash in, but yeah, I don't know about that one. Pitt just shows around a corner. I guess he's going for a flash play himself, but it's not going to work out. Now Freeze would given up the game. They're always sitting at quad here, but exactly what can NiP do about it? The Freiburg super low. Forest does get the peak in there as well, and Magic's now going to rotate through. But he's caught. It's Exist coming from highway. Great positioning, but Pimp quickly responds, picks him up, and now 2 players to be going on with here. Freiburg incredibly low, and Forest keep himself safe here. It's going to be a plant. Same default there as well. The fact that Freiburg got into that position to plant in the first place is excellent. Forest, though, misses the off angle, and he's got 3 players on his left to deal with.
Yeah, Uppers could be the next big problem, and he's going to take the lineup on it, but he doesn't get it, and there's the other player supporting perfectly. Well timed on Asilian, making the peak with Pimp. Pimp's going to get a comfortable defuse. No one to wallbang through from main this time, left alive. And yeah, as said, NiP a little bit careless on the peaks then, almost, or the positioning. Pitt getting caught out. Not great. If you know that you've pushed players back to the side and you've got complete mid control, you can assume one's going to be quad, one forklift, or one truck. If you're not going to be able to molly them out safely, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a shame on Pitt then. He's having a very slow start to this game. CT side, I have nothing wrong with him, the way he plays it. I think he does very well. But this is going to be a bit of a... it's an okay buy for NiP. So they got all the mollies there. And again, back into this, but the double up on SK is going to be the big difference now. And there's Molly going aggressive mid. This, again, all of these small pieces changing here can catch NiP out. Normally SK play quite passive, really. They play from the sides. So if there's a little bit of aggression now thrown into the mix, could change things.
Pitt there again, just trying to stir it up over at A. And the rest of NiP might be joining him in a few moments. It's Modi pushing so deep in mid and Asilian coming up as well. So that double smoke of last round for NiP would actually have at least given the isolation. But they will be making a bit of a set play in towards A. They're going to have to move quickly now to capitalize on these smokes that they've thrown in. Quite a lot there as well. You can see the whole array coming through, and it's going to canvas that site fairly heavily. But now a couple of Molotovs still to be going on with as well. As SK trying to pressure forward in mid, and that's what Get Right's been kept back for. You can see he's actually managed to keep Modi and Asilian under his thumb, and meanwhile at A, this is Freeze now trying to hold on. Look at the smoke, look at the coverage. Beautiful set play from NiP. A very, very easy bomb plant. Now the retake has to come in for SK. Modi finally got the better of Get Right, so he'll be flanking in a few moments, and Freeze has to hold on. Or not. Either way. That's okay too, I guess.
But now it's going to allow Exist to do some damage. He spots out Asilian, but now as Exist's position's been spotted, they know where he is, hence that nade coming in, but it just swings a little fast. So now 1v2, Modi going through Squeaky. Flash comes out. Exist is actually completely blind in this now. And there we go. Oh, tell a lie. Exist holds on for dear life. Pim's going to try and push into this, but time is of the essence. Exist just needs to buy time here. He's going to take the right angle as well, but no time is done and dusted. Well played to Exist then, just buying so much time, and Pimp just about makes it away alive. But that's another, these set A's are really well constructed from NiP. Very costly though.
Yes.
It costs them a lot of utility for one, and the reinvestment probably will not be able to match up to that. So they now maybe lack out on some of the mollies they had, or a couple of pieces here and there. But again, Exist just buying the time. This shot was the important one. I don't know how he gets that.
Look, he heard Squeaky. I know he heard that through the flash, so he knew that someone's going to be there. I guess a bit of good fortune involved there as well. But NiP, maybe, all the utility they're investing, they can't really play ahead of any smokes or anything like that. So not such safe positions coming for a retake, but there's Pip on towards Pip. Now being pressured, though, very, very close. Will definitely go down. So Freiburg trading it in happily, just bouncing straight through like a happy bunny. There's Acelian as well. Well, he's already shown himself there. 3 players from SK. Surely not forcing themselves into this one here. It's been very, very awkward for them. Awkward already that they committed so many towards mid, and now they have to filter out on towards his B side. But Forrest is going to miss that first shot. Very vulnerable now. 1 point of health, and Modi finishes the job. He comes down. His toes get a bit warm, but it's going to be enough for him to get across, and Magic's there can capitalize. 2 players for SK up. Freiburg's on the bomb side. Exist sat in Sunroom, so we can at least look in towards Checkers, but there's the smoke. Now, SK have a 3v1, and Freiburg has to hold on. It's going to be pressed by 1 from left and 1 from right. It's going to be Freeze to get in on towards him now, and Exist has got nothing but smoke in his way. Everywhere he goes, literally, and it's going to be cut down. Great smoke to cut Exist out of that one there as well. He had a lot of control over Checker.
That bomb was planted to allow Exist to be able to sip that that far back. But smart play in the end between Freeze and Magic. I think Freeze had the kit, Magic didn't. They had to switch quite late into the defuse, so Magic was the one taking the shot, Freeze the one on the defuse. So well played out in the end, not flustered under the pressure. And to be fair, that full ace AXQ, I think one of them actually missed the smoke as well. So there's a couple of things that NiP is still working through. This is what I like watching about NiP, is how well they're growing into this, and how much it actually works. Is because it always seems like every time we see them on a map, once or twice now, so every time they improve a little bit. And this looks like a big old A hit. Flash is probably going to come in. There it is. They're going to get out and just try and play contact. Try and get the bomb down. Freeze is going to find Forrest pretty comfortably. And now here comes the overwhelming factor. How many can he handle? He's got players left, right, and center. He's going to get them isolated towards quad. Pimp's found Exist, but now Freeze is going to show himself behind him. But lovely work by Freeze. Again, so calm under pressure. And keeps the score very even now.
In recent times, actually, Freeze has had problems with that, with being overwhelmed, being pressed by a lot of players. I'm not trying to single him out at all, but if you think back to the game against Mousesports and Mirage, they managed to do that as well. The G2 game as well on Keish, it was 4 days ago now. So good on him to be able to hold on. Keish, Keish, then Mirage next. So.
The thing is, Freeze is such a veteran player. Freeze and Modi are so, veteran to this whole thing going on. So it's always weird when you see someone like Freeze even flustered by this stuff.
But he's had a lot of criticism since coming in from Copenhagen Wolves, Freeze has.
Yep. Freeze has always been a bit of a up and down player. As Modi as well has had quite the reputation to get over. But back into the game now. Modi's going to get the perfect flash to take the advantage there towards Get Right. Good work on that, but it does mean that Acelian goes down. He set up Modi well, but at the sacrifice of his own life, and Freiburg's not done with one. Exist is going to catch out Modi. B site is now NiP's. Bomb is on quick route in the hands of Pit. He's running those little legs off and trying to get to the site as fast as he can to get that bomb down nice and safely before that smoke dissipates. He'll be perfectly planted there, allow Exist to once again get in the normal spot for this. And the last 2 players for SK might just want to keep hold of these guns.
Too unsafe, no doubt about it. I mean, the round's been so back and forth here. Neither team, to be fair, has established an economic foundation, I'll say. So they're going to have to take their time. Funny, talk about Modi, people saying up and down and question marks over him. When we first saw him coming to SK, I remember the first game, it was on Mirage. I think it was maybe against Dignitas, actually. Last season of the Pro League. Since then, he's definitely seemed like a stabilizing factor. He's a sensible player. He doesn't go for anything crazy. And he's that player that doesn't give up anything for free.
It's funny you mentioned Mirage. That's actually been one of my favorite maps to watch him on recently. He's been actually having a very nice performance on there. So, again, could be a brilliant point to look at later, because it is map 2. So, into this one, though, NiP. Forest. The thing is, knowing Forest, you're probably just sat there laughing about that at the end. It's like, oh, I tried so hard and got so far. In the end, I lost my rifle.
Don't, because Halva's going to start chiming up on the desk there as well.
He's
been waiting for his second chance to have that duet with you that you completely crushed last weekend.
I nailed it, didn't I? Yeah. Because we went to Meltdown after one of our shows, the Meltdown bars, if you guys at home have been to them.
They put karaoke on for us. We're the only guys there to watch CS. They put it on in the corner.
Yeah.
Lovely guys that they are.
And we just got rowdy.
Yeah.
Just rowdy kids in the corner watching CS. It was NACS, so, we had to have a couple of shandies.
Moses was sat there, so he was...
Oh, it was adorable. But back into this now. We are at 5-4. NiP back on that really nice buy, though. They've got a lot of utility now to play with, but to be fair for SK, they're not exactly light on this. And look at Modi, aggressive play, going to try and single out Get Right again, and this is going to be the ongoing battle here. Get Right this time will pick it up. Freiburg was there to support if required, but that could have been a lot worse. for NiP as GetRight was down to 50, but they do keep hold of it. Now the B side looking a little bit weaker, and they want to get the information. Are they trying to work off that, or is it clear Pimp's going to have a little bit of a peek over the top towards Sunrim? So, I can't see anyone. Get ready on A.
Yeah, Pimp's had, I don't know if eye surgery, but I know after last week's games he was off to the doctor the very next day after that one, complaining of some problems there as well. So hopefully he's recovered fairly well. I'm not seeing it to be to his detriment so far in this game, but now Freeze, yeah, this time no nonsense for NiP. Look at Freeze is, it's like a meteor shower really, and Freeze has had to step right away from that one, but he's able to stay alive and get a decent angle, I suppose. Now Magic's forced away. This is really, really good from NiP. They're setting things up well, but Freeze still gets one. Looking for a second, but he's shut down by Forest, but Magic's now as well. Bring some magic of his own as Pimp to bring up the rear. And still with Asilian and Pimp left, SK Gaming bring that one back. And this is looking like a far more solid performance from SK here. Pause coming out. Tac pause wouldn't shock me. As NiP, it's been rocky for both of these two teams as well. I mean, back and forth. Yeah, it's been almost back and forward since after the pistol.
Yeah, and I guess credit again to Magisk. Every time he plays on A and they do that A hit, he's found room to work, which is actually very impressive for me, considering that was a really hard play to get around in past times, the smoke and molly play. It's kind of like a close smoke, so there's a few different iterations, it seems, with NiP. If they have like the full smokes, they put one towards the upper balcony or the upper catwalk. It seemed that they forego the highway one, which is a little bit curious to me, and they leave the guy on Squeaky to take the fight. One towards CT truck, which is a little bit deeper than regular, and then one like to the very close part of quad, almost between sight and Squeaky. And then they molly the very deep side of it, so it kind of forces CTs into a really awkward angle. But it's like, if Magis, excuse me, can still find room to operate, it's a lot of investment for absolutely nothing. So it's actually kind of interesting to see that working out. But SK are putting up a really good CT side so far, at least in my eyes. Being able to deal with NiP, considering their, I guess, rocky past before, they've had many poor run-ins on this one.
Yeah.
Keeping themselves at this sort of marker is good. They're starting to build into it. They're starting to read the plays, and they're starting to get there.
To see what their A hits look like from now, because we've seen some great ones. We've seen some interesting ones as well. I think, yeah, I mean, the Molotovs coming through weren't all that solid that last time. Only 3, I think. It's great when NiP can sit there with 5 Molotovs and just let it rip. Like Blackwater Bay, essentially, but a little bit harder.
And I do get reminded, I was having a little bit of a waffle about the coaching thing, and I never finished my point, which is, you know, pretty regular. I waffle on a lot, but as we're in a pause, why not? But yeah, this is the thing. It's like the threat influence is awesome to see because, one, a lot of people theorized with Natu coming in that theoretically he's a very relevant player. Like, you know, up-to-date player. Because that's a lot of the criticism of these old coaches coming back. It's like, how much do they actually know about CSGO?
Sure.
So there's always that theory, but you know, Natu is very relevant at the time and a very good influencer. However, it's like to get the mental respect from players like, you know, GetRight, Exist, Force, you know, these really veteran players is quite difficult unless you're someone of, you know, threat stature, right? So it's like, even if Natu came in saying, hey guys, you know, let's do 2 hours of you know, like 2 hours of prac games, and then we'll do like, you know, some set plays, some smokes, and sit down and really review it afterwards. Would they be really invested into that, or would it take someone of like threat stature to come in and be like, okay, you guys know me, you've played with me before, you know, I am known for this in-game leadership, you know, it's the respect factor, and I know that GetRight's loving playing with Threat again and having him around. It's like a really nice addition to see like GetRight enjoying the game to that level. So for me, it's nice seeing someone like Threat coming back in because he can have that really influential position in NiP that they'll all, you know, listen to and respect, whereas even if Natu could have done exactly the same thing on paper, it's like, does he get that instant, you know, it's not even like you think about it, it's just like a natural kind of response of, do I think this guy knows better than me?
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. Like, it's not nothing bad on NiP. I don't think that's the case at all. I think it's just like a mental thing.
And
it's always interesting.
And even if you don't know that whether they know better than you or not, it's about being willing to take the risk and actually just say, okay, you know what, you might have X amount of experience stacked up against mine, but I'm going to try what you say and I'm going to see if it works. I'm just going to try and put myself in your head. And that's where you see coaches actually singularly have a visible and marked influence on teams. And that's where we're seeing the threat effect, as it has been dubbed, a manifest for NiP. We're seeing that the game style change because they've allowed that to happen as well. They've allowed him to come in and, you know, it's not as if they've just got down on their knees and praised and said, "Oh my God, Threat, you saved us from our rut." You know, it's like, okay, let's just give it a go. This isn't what he's got. New blood in the team in Pit as well probably helps as well a little bit with that compliance factor. But again, you know, it's not just in CS. It's in a bunch of other esports as well. It's about respecting the coach. I know a bunch of teams in other games that have had issues like, yeah, we fired another coach today. Like, we've gone through 3 coaches in 2 weeks, you know.
Yep.
Because they just don't respect them. And it's tough when like your players disagree with the coach as well. It's like, who's actually right here? Is the player willing to agree to disagree and do what the coach says? Because that's the role of the coach now growing in CS. Is how much authority are you allowing them to have? Not them taking authority. You need to allow your coach to have authority over you. And that is tough for some players, I can imagine.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised. And I'm kind of trying to think, does SK have a coach? I don't think they do.
No.
I'm not too sure. If I'm wrong, I actually don't think they do. Please do let me know. But I'm not sure if they do. It's certainly not like an in-server coach in comparison to like your Fnatic or your Threat.
What? For
that's you, Rush.
Coach for Vugo, what? Vugo, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, and then you've got Astralis having one. Like everyone
who admits to not play the game that much. Vugo will tell you, it's like, I'm not a hardcore player. Obviously not the standard of the team that he coaches, but they still respect what he has to say. You know?
Yeah, and I remember like Devil Walk sitting down, we had a discussion of like how Fnatic used to do it, like going through demos all the time before like majors. Like they had like several people doing like really like super in-depth analysis for them almost. Like, I'm gonna watch all those demos for you guys. You keep just doing your thing, right? As a player, you warm up, you play your games. We'll do that like really awkward grind, and we'll give you the information, which is cool.
Yep.
Whether or not I don't know if it like completely and utterly changes everything, but it's a cool theory to have. And we are back underway, so we can stop waffling on and filling needless air.
It's far more civil than most of our discussions are. So
yeah, we've
nice.
done well to keep that on topic almost. I'm proud of us. Go us.
That's good. Nice.
All right, this looks like just a straight up A hitter, if I'm honest. Again, this could be Freeze and Magic having a time of their lives here, as we've got Deagle, Tech 9, Galils, and a rifle. That's in the hands of Exist the AK there. And again, Magic can have a lovely time of it until then. Freiburg takes him out. Freeze gets overrun. And it's going to be Pimp doing the damage in the background.
Michael plays a really similar position on A-holds, right next to that red container, and it puts you right in the mix. So Magic probably has to be happy enough to trade 1-for-1, okay? I'd say unlikely he gets more than that. It's risky, it's far forward. But now when NiP have only got Pit to work with here, they have a bomb plant, so that's something, I guess, for them. But again, the investment for this round is definitely going to fall by the wayside. Pimp is going to lazily flick his USP in the direction of Pit and he falls down. Well, the defuse will be forthcoming eventually for SK Gaming. And this NiP now, the money they spent this round, they are going to have to go for a save. I doubt they'll be forcing at this stage here as well. So SK Gaming get themselves out in front here, which is the first time this game.
Yeah, good stuff coming out. NiP's T side looking good enough. But again, SK is where I'm enjoying this game at the moment. Is once they've got themselves back into it and really starting to grind out these rounds, it's been quite an enjoyable factor, but let's see what NiP bring this time. Again, it's all this different variety they're bringing. SK are meeting it step by step. You look at A, it's been awesome. Was it Free stopping them this time, or Magisk? And then you find one of the two. On B, though, it's a very different picture at the moment, because it's like Modi sometimes goes aggressive, but it's a Cillian this time in a curious spot. He's down by Checkers just watching the close push, and only one man in mid, so a bit of a different stance here from SK. Freeze in mid, soloing, he's been over by Quad. Magic soloing A and a B stack, maybe predicting this is how they want to look at how they play against ecos here. Stack B, it's what NiP like to do on ecos.
Very well behaved SKR at the moment. Cillian not shifting for anything here as well, and he'll have a good opportunity in a moment. Not showing himself now. It comes the push. Cillian can choose to come out now. He gets one eventually. Bomb now loose. He's going to look for Exist as well, but won't get him. Tech 9 to the head. He's going to get the job done, and this is excellent trading into that B site here by NiP. Now the question is, do they go on this one? The nade almost claimed Pit's life, and now they're going to be able to push through. Magisk gets a Molotov over just towards where the bomb was sitting, so this will slow things up for SK. And no one from SK able to get real close here either.
From being, Magic is trying to find fights, and Exist is going on the long flank. Luckily enough, Forrest hit the shot, but if Magic had found one of those low HP players, that had become super possible and rather deadly. But really, in the end, SK getting overwhelmed a bit. Surprised that Cillian didn't do more damage.
He could have done a lot more from that position. Not to be harsh on the guy as well, but he didn't show himself. NiP weren't looking at him. Had an opportunity to come out, but I guess Exist took his head off with the Tech 9, and that just happens sometimes.
Yep.
Sometimes from ridiculously long range it makes you throw your keyboard, but it happens. Not a personal anecdote at all.
No, you'd never do that.
I have many broken keyboards.
I haven't broken a keyboard in a long time.
Mate, I see.
Mice?
I'm fairly mild-mannered generally, but my God, games do things to me. New matchmaking assignments
Let's not
ranks
go on
do
that.
things to me.
Let's not even talk about that. I've been on the grind with Alex. It's been horrible. We've been having the worst time of our lives recently. Like, there's been like occasional games where I'm like dropping 40s and we're almost losing. It's just like, I want it. I'm just done here. All right, Freeze. What you got? Nothing. Nice. Just open the door and just like unleash Pit.
And yeah, the fires of hell now from NiP, setting it up nicely, and Asilian again just has nowhere to really be. It puts you just in an awkward position. Sat behind Red Container, we have to peek in. And to be fair, in this case, trading is the best you can hope for. Now it's Pimp with the scout left. So SK forced into this round slightly.
Oh, have you seen the name of the scout?
Danish Dynamite. They're red, they're white. Danish Dynamite.
Yeah.
I said that the other week and everyone
Yeah.
laughed at me. Thought I was weird.
No, maybe Pimp
I
heard
stole
it.
it
It was
from
like...
I stole it from Deficio, so it's obviously a thing.
Yeah. Speaking of Deficio, with NiP.
Wait.
Oh, good old
We've
Deficio.
come full circle now.
Yeah.
That's it.
I miss Deficio.
I like Mark. He's a champ.
Oh, look at you, first name basis.
Yeah,
Wow.
we ate spaghetti together in Katowice.
Is it
So
romantic?
it's getting pretty serious, obviously.
Yeah, look at the HP on NiP. That's getting pretty serious. Pim can't do much about this. Like, time is essentially done, and he knows it. Just gonna gift himself.
Time
up,
is
like,
done.
Pimp, why? Why Pimp?
What? Okay, he doesn't want to hold his scout. Fair enough. I guess he was hoping
He
for
tried to
someone.
go for a rifle,
Yeah.
and then didn't work out so well.
That's because not too many have been dropped. NiP were able to get out there with still 4 players up, albeit heavily tagged down. Pimp having a good game, I'm not going to lie. Unfortunately not able to bring things back. He's obviously gravitating between sites and playing that mid-roll if he has to. Obviously Freeze is just AWPing A pretty much constantly. And I bet you he doesn't go A now just to make me look... No, he does, thank God. We are seeing
But
Pimp as well
Asilian's
feature in mid.
Which is different.
No, because we've seen SK will push 2 guys up fairly close. But normally on forces here, so... Be interesting to see how this works out. Modi with a Famus. Apart from that, it's not a terrible buy for SK.
No, it's just good enough. It's just limited utility. So if NiP can work down some of these smokes and such, it's going to be a bit of a problem. But then there's the double smoke towards mid and the boost for Pit. So they're trying to get that mid information. So actually this could be a good read from Asilian and Magic being in mid, but they can't see much. So unless they try and push highway, this isn't going to equate to much apart from a faster rotate in towards B, which could happen. Molly comes out. That's going to force out the player from those sandbags. That being Asilian, he has to run the gauntlet. And Freiberg has none of it. He's just like, nice one, thank you. Just stand in front of me, that's perfect. And now, NiP have mid control, and they can build from that wherever they want to. If I saw Asilian down, I'd assume, well, maybe there's one freer on B, maybe they have to rotate around, but NiP, reading it differently, let's see how they take this.
They will instead go towards A, and this might work in their favour. We'll see who's... Pimp is drawn across to B, with Freeze falling down now as well. NiP are probably feeling a lot more comfortable about coming forward now. Only one Molotov here to work with is Pit takes down Magisk, so it's not even going to be necessary in the end. It's going to be Freeberg to put the bomb down.
Don't say Freeberg. I got told off so many times saying Freeberg, but
We can't say that?
Well, no, it's because it's...
Because I can't say the Swedish I properly, so it just sounds dumb. Like,
Well, that's how, like, when I used to talk to him, that's how he said, like, that's how you say
Yeah,
his name when
but-
I first met him, but, like, no one else in the world who's not Swedish says it that way, so I'm like, oh.
yeah. I've heard a fair bit of Swedish talk around me, but it's very, very hard to replicate the sounds.
I'd really like you to try for every Swedish person in chat.
No,
No,
I refuse.
don't do it.
refuse.
Stop it, Lauren. Don't be mean.
No, thank you. I'm done with the Swedish thing. Somebody back in spawn here, Freiberg. Going to go down. You heard nothing. It's going to be 8-6 here for NiP. They are going to look a bit better now as well. Getting that run of 3 rounds. And yeah, again, no real high flyers on their team as well. I was sort of said, I think, earlier on, we've had discussion about it in the last couple of weeks. Freiberg's an important factor here for NiP. If he's firing, that really helps him in a big way because obviously Forest and Exist get right all looking good. Yeah, that's filthy. On the T side.
It's a little dirty. Just chilling out on, I think it's the stop sign in spawn. We're going to have the boost coming out, the get right boost, I guess. See, I've never called it get right boost. I can't remember which. There was a player I swear that used it more than him, but everyone keeps calling it get right, so I've kind of like adapted to that.
Wow, so you're saying Freiberg's name like in this person now? You're calling it get right corner? Since
know
when
what's
does
wrong
Lauren
with me.
Pansy Scott crumble to peer pressure? Is my
All the
question.
time. You have no idea. I'm a weak
Broken
person.
woman.
Yeah, but NiP again mid control from this. Last time Asilian got mollied out, he's learned from these lessons. Like, I'll try somewhere else and let's see how this goes. Freiberg's going to leap up. It goes much better. Takes down Freiberg, and now Get Right does find the push out from B. That being Pimp, but not even showing a bit of his strength playing from connector there, as it is now just 3 left with NiP against the 4 of SK.
Pit now moving back in towards mid, and the bomb care of Forest has been moved over towards B. So Asilian is probably going to try and get there as soon as he can to help Modi, as he's been sort of the loose end going in towards mid as well. But Modi's dependable. I'd say the most dependable player on SK as well. Very solid. Doesn't have to do anything crazy here. Just hold, stall for time. It's Pit and Forest actually getting flashed up by that one as well, but he's going to be pressed. It's Asilian actually getting caught out, but Modi again steps up to the plate. He's looking pretty sharp and won't be able to get that 3rd frag there as well, but 2's going to slow down NiP a lot. And Forest actually not going for the plant straight away. I love this. Trying to catch a rotate off guard, and if he moves towards A quick enough, he's going to completely get around SK. Beautiful. Oh, so nice. Oh.
Are you okay?
Oh, I'm just enjoying that perhaps too much.
In rapture. That is beautiful play from Forest. Luckily, oh look, they're still thinking it's B.
Only Magic because of Kit as well.
Oh, there's that horrible moment. It's not even planted.
I hate that.
And where is Forest sitting?
A main.
Okay.
Inside A main, watching for a flank. He's got it planted for A main here as well. So
It's a plant for highway
SK
normally.
can double peek into this. Well, not anymore, they can't. The Molotov is going to try and deny some ground, but great. The fact that Forest had one to go was
Freeze is
great.
on it.
He's on the bomb. It's going to be 2 seconds left, and you have the defuse. Forest doesn't peek it. He overestimated where his Molotov was placed. I think he hit the corner of that red container, and Freeze gets the defuse.
Aww.
That would have been so good. That would have
I
been
feel so
sick.
bad. That was like, because he planted, I think, on the very edge, like the deepest corner you can plant on almost. Like, well, pretty far into the corner.
Such
and
that he'd still have an angle from
Yeah,
A
yeah,
main.
he planted on that corner, I think, or at least close to it. It was a little bit further than where the molly went, basically, which is unfortunate.
I always feel like the molly hit the edge of the container or something, or didn't quite get as far
Yeah,
back
it
in
just
that
wasn't
corner.
far enough, I don't think.
Yeah,
Aw.
there you go. So that was where the bomb
That
went.
would have been so nice.
Had the right idea. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to Michael his way out of that one.
The thing is, I think you can like easily wallbang the wall to the left of it. So I was wondering if he did like the lineup that you used to be able to shoot through.
No, I was just watching any flank, I think.
Yeah. I was just hoping for some more, unique things, but it is what it is. Forrest, you have my hopes up.
Well, it's half-time now, and Ninjas in Pyjamas come in with that 1-round lead, and SK Gaming are keeping in step at this stage. It's pretty impressive from them as well, and I have to say, honours to... honestly, I think Freeze and Magic have had good control of that A site, especially those earlier rounds. And Modi, again, just been really, really solid. I see a little bit lagging behind, I feel he is. He's been put in some compromising spots as well. But still, I mean, when he's had opportunities, he's sort of missed out on them as well. Again, it is what it is, Lauren, as you said it.
I worry when a team against NiP only has 4 players. It gives me bad flashbacks. No, don't laugh.
They were 9-1.
Yes, Pimp's back. Pimp too strong. Yes. All right. SK's T side. They had a good showing on CT. If I'm very honest, I actually really enjoyed how they played that out. Now, the thing that I enjoyed about NiP, however, on their CT side was the impact of Forest, Get Right, and Pit. Now, Exist is coming to zone, and Freiburg's perfectly fine, but it's how they're playing now. Pit actually started to AWP a lot more, which was enjoyable in the last matchup we got to witness. Him in mid, which was unique. Forest taking more of a rifle spot, which was, I guess, what you'd classically think, but we'll come back to that. 2 mollies for SK, Asilian and Modi with those, and a smoke with Asilian. This could be a well-formed round. It looks like a mid-split, quite possibly.
Maybe even a page out of the NiP playbook when it comes to gaining entry to these sites. It's going to be Exist set up in the corner there in checkers, and Pit looking in towards mid. And a slow SK as well, which we've known them to be. Both these two teams with some similarities in their styles. And Pit now as well. Shots across as Magic's boy is lightly just caressed by the bullets coming in towards him. Nothing to write home about for him as Exist burns down. And he finally drops there as well. And SK are in on towards the site now.
I'm not sure if they just knew that Exist likes to play that spot, but what does it matter when Forest and Get Right are just doing everything needed? Forest with some real beauty to his work with that USPS, but Pimp is still fighting the good fight for SK, not going down without trying to achieve something, but that bomb in such a treacherous spot, and Forest still standing. Such a daunting factor, but Pit gonna watch the cross here. Forest gonna take a little bit of a peek, and as soon as that bomb gets picked up, they know what's going on. Pit's gonna be watching this with... Pit,
Please.
you better hit this shot, Pit. And he does.
Okay, well, fortune favours the bold there, and Pimp definitely was bold, but unfortunately sometimes You need some brains to back up the brawn there as well. You
What
need
a
to check
great
that left
phrase.
side.
Fortune favours the bold, and Pimp was bold, but it didn't work.
Yeah, no, well, there was more to that. I think you
Oh.
stopped listening after that point.
I do generally with you.
Going to be insert extra waffle here. I mean, the fact is, like, he went for it, but didn't check the left side, man.
Oh.
And I swear that's how half our conversations go, Lauren. You hear the first few words, you just tuned out straight away.
What was that?
I'm pouting. For the
I was
benefit
such a
of the viewers, I'm
dejected
pouting.
look.
Yeah.
That's right, Mitch. You can have this round.
Let's jump into this one then, as NiP now at least have been able to get themselves some guns after that last round, which was pretty darn helpful for them as well. It's going to be a P90 for Get Right, and Pit already going quite low. He's actually gone all the way back towards spawn now as well. He lost out on mid. Magisk was definitely pressuring quite hard on Get Right as well. A little bit of free damage going over towards NiP is going to make this hold that much harder. And now they've had to give up A completely. They have to play a retake, and SK going to smoke it out heavily anyway, but no resistance going to be forthcoming here from NiP as they want to pick off players on the outside. That's Magisk now. Try and take mid control. He will fall. But now Tech9's close range. Oh, ideal for NiP to have to work in towards. And they've got one grenade, and it just got sent over towards quad. It doesn't really find its mark. Thrown a bit too long.
Yep. And actually, SK in a really good spot to pick up this rep. Spoke too soon. Freiburg's not having any of that. It's down to Freeze and Asilian. Freeze already shown his spot in main at some point, but 5 players. He's got to pick up the ace. Not going to get it done. And the retake was not pretty, but it worked.
Yeah. I mean, good on NiP as well. As soon as Get Right got taken quite low from that early peak outside of A main, it was like, all right, boys, let's go. Get out of the site. Get ready to come in for the retake. There were so many smokes up as well. It's a dice roll against a team with Tech9s at close range. So NiP played to their strength and took their time coming in as well. And they had pretty much no utility, but they managed to just come forward anyway and do it the old-fashioned way. Now NiP 10-7. SK Gaming P250s and a flash is all they're really sitting on right now. And they are going to press on towards A. No armor as well. So that aim punch.
And Get Right loves this spot as well. I wouldn't be surprised seeing this in gun rounds. And he plays it perfectly. He's been an advocate for the P90 for quite some time from Dubai, saying he will bring it to be the next big gun. And so far going all right for him. Of course, against people with 0 armor.
That's what tapped about
really
the org as well. Well, we know where that got us.
Ow.
It's just a meme now.
That should be like the story of my life on my grave. It's just a meme. All right.
No dreams, only memes. That'd be nice to put on your tombstone, I think.
Oh, thank you.
We need to find the
dreams, only
we need to
memes.
find the appropriate Twitch emote though for it.
Yeah,
Resident Sleep is a bit obvious.
that's a bit snoozy. Oh, but here we go. Big stack towards mid. Trade's going to come out. Freiburg, look left, please. How is Freiburg alive? What is going on? Okay, he's found a Cillian. That was a little bit confusing, and I think same can be said for the T side because they are absolutely baffled as to what happened. I'm so confused what happened in mid then. It was such a mess. Both teams pushed players forward, traded out in mid, but no one really succeeding. I guess the T side will always have the advantage on even numbers once they break the 5.
Smoke and mirrors, baby, nothing else, and that's why NiP. Come on, I've said worse things than that, and you've let me go. I understand. Smoke and mirrors, baby. Here we go. Forrest now making his way over on towards that B side, and it's a very slow push from SK after obviously sustaining some fairly heavy casualties. Now, 2 players for NiP committed now to setting that boost up in mid, and they're going to take their sweet time getting over towards this B side. That's opened it up. Magisk gets on towards Forrest, and Pimpa's going to go for a plant here, so it's definitely going to be a retake here for NiP. It's Get Right through B main, and Freiburg in through Vents.
They really didn't believe this was an A until that a B, excuse me, until that bomb got planted. Like, Get Right was all the way over checking A main, but here we go. Well, that saved utility just going to be layered towards NiP, and this retake's becoming harder and harder by the second, but they do have 2 kits, so they can go for this one. Freiburg has 7 bullets, so he does great deals of damage. And Freiburg, huge play with the Deagle coming out and that first kill, and they'll have time for the defuse. What a retake.
That was incredible stuff there as well. The fluidity of the switch towards the Deagle and the shot to follow was just... It's the stuff of poetry there. Fantastic round by the man. Let's have a look at this again. So the famous shot, he does get a fair bit of wallbang through and then just... Well, have a seat, Pimp. Don't bother getting up. Not for the rest of the round. Brilliant stuff there. It's a 5-round lead to NiP now as well. These rounds, they're being ground out, and NiP are having to actually really pull out the stops to get them, but they're getting it done. They won every round this half, and this is now SK buying up into this, or forcing even, as Cillian has to go for nothing but a Galil, and it's limited utility.
Double AWP for NiP. Now, the flash does not work at all. Exist is doing extreme amounts of damage. Pit's just finishing off the job. Get right up above as well, finding Pimp. The 2 remaining players just being absolutely slaughtered at this point. SK down to 1 man, Modi, and my word, NiP. That's a round.
That could be a big nail in the coffin there for SK Gaming. I mean, that was their probably last decent buy if NiP were going to continue winning, and they got completely trounced. The double AWP for NiP as well has definitely been a talked about thing, especially with Pit now entering the fold. A very, very comfortable hold there for NiP. I think SK Gaming have to think long and hard now about any subsequent A pushes, especially now into what NiP have been able to put together economically. Of course, speaking of which, it's SK Gaming on 4 Deagles.
Forrest's going to have the first shot over there towards B as well. That was Modi again. It'll be a bit of an endless battle. Whoever goes B on either side is like always Modi trying to take that fight. But while that happens, of course, as you mentioned, it's been a bit of a tension towards A here, but that Molly does some serious damage. Not that much armor as well on the SK side, only Pimp and Modi really rocking that with Magisk, so very limited, and Get Right just mothering them down. SK, oh no. Oh no. Pit almost smashing down Freeze then as well. Freiburg finds Magic, it's just down a Freeze and a Cillian this round.
Yeah, very, very quiet little force up here for SK Gaming. Those Deagles not really yielding any results whatsoever, and smoke clearly not an issue for Pit, as Freeze will go down, and Pit does that a lot actually. If you watch, it's always interesting to see each player's nervous ticks to their weapons, which is like, Pit just gets his mouse and just puts it in really rapid circles all the time. I don't know what it is. Maybe he didn't like his movement or something like that, or whatever, but you will notice that he does that a fair bit. I mean, that Molotov and Cillian as well burned him down to 8 health, I think, at the start of things. So, I mean, nothing was really going right for SK to begin with. Now, Freeze has himself an AWP, and this is
B battle.
This is the last buy here for SK at this rate.
Oh, Forrest, do you dare do it? Nice little movement. Doesn't matter though. Absolutely matters to nothing. Modi gonna find Forrest and give over that opening control. Cillian's found Get Right. This is beautiful. Getting picks on both sides of the map. This means NiP can't commit anywhere. Yeah,
and they have to remain split as well. So, just really, really weak on both bomb sites now as well. Freiburg. Player out in Sunroom. I don't think he was necessarily spotted. That's Freeze with the AWP as well. So Freiburg probably lucky to get away with his life there. And because Freiburg reported nothing, Pit rotating up towards Truck now towards A, but SK haven't necessarily committed to anything. And even Freiburg now making his way away from that B site. So if SK are quick and actually go for something decisive here, they can quite easily get onto this B site and force NiP into a retake with only 3 players.
Sometimes I guess you do just have to play just kind of guessing games almost in that sort of aspect when you're down to only 3 players.
It's the stack mentality. It's the same kind of thing, right? You take a risk and it can either pay off incredibly well or not at all. This time it might be the former.
Yeah, Exist and Pit would be the ones in quad, but there's still mollies, which is going to be a problem. When the one follows now, which should go towards quad, there it is flying over. This is going to spell trouble. They need to move out of this corner.
Oh, no.
There it is coming through, but they don't expect it. There's one. Pit's found it. Gets another one. Can he do any more? He's still trying to fight as hard as he can. They're running through the molly, but that is all she wrote for Pit, as Magic will find it, and SK finally get one on the board. It was a hard fought for round.
Sick couple of frags there from Pit, but it was on his own by the time he actually started to wake up and get it done. And with so few options for positioning up on that A site, there's only really so much you can do there as well. Peeks forward, takes one. This was very cheeky around the corner, but unfortunately, there was always going to be follow-up as he had to reload. So Magisk was there and gets the job done. SK keep themselves alive there as well. That buy, throwing caution to the winds and getting it done, but NiP still have one of their own here. Plenty of utility to get them through as well. So Freiburg wants to push forward on towards B main. There's some smoke, but again, aggressive CT play can go a long way. Freiburg looking for Modi as well, but Modi's staying safe in Sunroom right now. It's just him, so he doesn't really want to give anything away at B and allow him to sort of push through mid, which is where SK like to have their base of operations. You know, they sit the bomb in mid and they sit in mid for quite a long time, and they'd hate for NiP to interrupt their little mother's meeting, but Freeze is just going to be sent backwards off of the boost, and even Get Right coming forward, going to be denying position from SK.
Yeah, this is better. With the close flashes though, completely blind up to Get Right.
No.
Get
No.
Right. Pimp. Gerard's going to wait to see if anyone else tries to walk out mid, and actually, oh my...
Surely
What is going on in this round?
Surely not. I don't know. I understand that. Like, it's those moments where we get right is where it's like, I can't. Is this too good to be true? I've got behind him, but then he just messed up. He should have just got the one burst down.
Well, it's like he thought. I assume he thought he killed the first player, so he was like, okay, I can adjust to the second comfortably, and then there it falls apart. But the problem now being that the bomb's on Magic. Now Freiburg's partially watching this cross, and he gets down the bomb. 20 seconds now, 2v1. Freiburg on 1 HP. Asilian has to find at least one of these two. He's found Freiburg, 8 HP, 20 seconds. Will he expect Forest this close? Forest takes the fight, and NiP get to 15 rounds, but again, these are dangerously close rounds here. SK are waking up on this T side, but just not closing down.
That was really, really nice from Freiburg, can I just say. He did about 160 damage with 1 point of health there, from what I can tell. That is pretty nutty from that man as well. Not afraid to take those fights, and they've set NiP in the box seat to get the win out in this one here as well. And it's a little bit of a sad bye for SK Gaming, of course, as those were the last few rounds were pretty hard fought. Only the one rifle on him, that's on Pimp. Modi has absolutely no utility as well, so we're going to have to see where SK want to go with this one. You notice Modi won't push so far in towards Sunroom. He's going to play it right back and catch anyone from NiP trying to go aggressive on mid, but I don't really think aggressive CT and NiP always in the same sentence here, so we'll see. Smoke towards Pit, he's just going to go around it. Definitely some focus towards Boost here.
Here we go. And actually misses the sitter, but the molly's going to get it anyway, because this is like, I'll leave you to burn. I won't put you out of your misery. And there's a pop flash in, he spots out, I think that's Asilian trying to wander through the smoke, but Freeze is getting up close and personal, and no one knows this yet. He can capitalize on it, and there we go. Asilian pulls the trigger, gets the job done until Exist shows up. That's the third. And this looks like all but done here, as just Modi left standing. He's going to pull a somewhat of a miracle, and Exist trying to hit the bangerang no-scope. Not going to get it. It's Get Right to close down. And NiP, again, getting another win on the board here for Ninjas in Pajamas.
Now, bangerang, no scope.
Don't judge me.
Not going to work out, but everything else sort of worked out for NiP in that one there as well. Very much a back and forth start when we were in the early stages there, but NiP on CT definitely seemed to solidify and start to grind those rounds out. That being said, we're seeing a lot of those rounds being won off the back of some really good individual play. Also want to highlight Freiburg top of the scoreboard there as well. Not that that means anything, but he has received scrutiny of late as being a bit of a linchpin and sometimes a bit up and down.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of judge performance, but for me, it's just the overall kind of picture of NiP that we're seeing at the moment is actually very impressive. It's how they pace themselves, it's how they play out these rounds. They're aware of the other team being on ecos, and how they then come into that, I think, is really, really very different and a really nice approach. So enjoyed that one, but I think Mirage could be very interesting. I like the way SK play this, but it is very well drilled. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot to be said on the analysis desk, so we can head over there now.
That's right, gentlemen. Take it away.
Thanks very much, you two. Yeah, indeed, it's an interesting one. We came to this one, you said NiP were going to pick that win up.
Yeah.
For a while there, on the first half, I started to feel good vibes from SK.
Started to believe.
Did you? I mean, I was like, they did it once. They had a great T side. Could they do it again?
Yeah.
And then NiP, especially Freiburg, as they highlighted over on the caster desk, really seemed to wake up. And actually, you know what? NiP are looking consistently in good form.
Yeah, no, I was actually very surprised by how well SK hung in there for the first half. Definitely it took me by surprise because, well, that wasn't what we saw versus G2, right? Still kind of felt safe about NiP coming through in the end. And you could tell that just, it's been a complete rework with that team. It really has. And you could tell it by, it's like they mentioned with the, well, what they do on their anti-ecos, right? They're willing to invest 5 Molotovs, and they know where to throw them this time around, and all of that's going to help you out in the long run of things. And yeah, it's nothing like out of the ordinary of what they do. They just do it solidly, and they do it as a team, and that's kind of the big take from it.
I actually want to kind of really highlight how consistently they're using this Molotov strat on Cash.
Yeah.
Like to the point of insanity where like you see Freeze was constantly trying to hold quad, and every single time he was like looking paranoid, like I just cannot be here. Then he's on site and he's like, can I hold this angle towards Squeaky? No, there's another molly. Basically, it's a process of elimination where Freeze is tossed around from all the way from quad back towards like midpoint towards truck, where he's like, I really can't do anything.
Yeah,
here.
and at that point you just have, well, I have to give up.
He's like looking at the gap and smoke towards yellow, like this is literally all I can hold.
Yeah.
And it's just a nice combination of both smoke and Molotov, two like utility nades that work so well together. And I think that's something that this NiP, this whole A-based strategy, they did the same on B as well, seemed to come together really, really nicely.
Yeah, and I guess on the side of SK, I think, especially on the CT side, they seem to struggle a tiny bit, or they did struggle versus the lesser Lister buys from NiP, and we saw that B round pretty much where Freiburg entries with Deagle, and basically that's a situation where if you're SK, you need to get every free round you're supposed to get. You have to get them, right? Versus a team like NiP, and they even stacked up with 3 people towards the bomb site. Everything tells you, just looking at it from an overview, that this should be a pretty easy pickup for SK. But when you lose those kind of rounds, that's easy to get you on tilt. Not necessarily to ruin your entire game, but it does take a lot of the wind out of you.
And in that round, they didn't bring much at all. Like, quite literally, it was that Deagle. I think there was 1 Kevlar helmet on 1, and the rest were like unarmored Tech 9s. The fact that NiP are winning those rounds, of course, investing the majority of that kind of force buy money into utility, just is testament to the power of those nades, right? It's proof to the
testament to
madness.
how much of an impact Threat has had on that team. Which is why anyone has been sticking through, I guess, the hard times for NiP, if you can even call that. They barely dipped outside of the top 8, right? So it hasn't been complete doom and gloom, but yeah, exactly. But for someone who's used to success, right, or their team being successful, they can be really hopeful for the future, because it's definitely looking like a just more solid team. But SK definitely put up a worthwhile fight. I still think that it's going to be really tough for them to do anything on Mirage.
Yeah, definitely trying to innovate there from SK. It wasn't enough for them to find success. Cash, we felt like was they're going to be their best bet, and just around the corner lies Mirage. We are going to take 5 to catch our breath before we dive into our final game of the evening. Strap yourselves in, guys. We'll be back in 5 for your final game of the ESL Pro League.